Welcome to the Golf Spotlight. I'm Ralph Irvin here in our golf shop studio, and over the past few months, we have launched The Range on the Believe Podcast Network. The show affords an opportunity to better get to know some of the creators from the golf equipment industry and to learn about their motivations in creating the newest technological marvels that we take to the course. Now, we know we have a lot of fans of Cleveland, Srixon, and XXIO, and so we decided to share the video of our talk with the marketing director for those brands, Brian Schelke. Now, if you're a fan of the Golf Spotlight, you'll know that Brian and I have talked many times over the last 5 years about a myriad of clubs and tech. We start here with the biggest club launch of the summer, the new Cleveland RTX Zip Core Wedge. Hope you enjoy. Talk about what makes this club such a real achievement of engineering.
Yeah, this is a big one, talking about advancements in technology and innovation, and it's something we're really proud of. And the big thing is in its name. It's this zip core. And what zip core is it's this really lightweight or low density material inside the wedge, inside the core of the wedge. And when you're designing a wedge for better players, like this is RTX zip core, it's for tour players, serious golfers, up to the mid handicap golfer. But they're the most discerning for look and feel. And, a tour player wants to look down and make sure it looks right. It's pretty compact. So in the past, we've been fairly constrained with some of the technology we can put into it because you can't make these big cavities or take weight out of certain areas because it has to look right. So what zip core is we replaced a lot of the heavy steel on the inside of the wedge with this low density zip core material. And that's allowed our engineers to really have more freedom than ever before in a blade style wedge, to give this wedge, not just like a subtle performance improvement over the last generation, but we're 3, 4, 5 generations beyond where wedges have been before.
Well, and I know there's been a move in recent years with the Cleveland wedges to really center that center of gravity, to move it towards the center because naturally it wants to drift inland towards the hosel. This really allows you to use kind of the mental concept of a cavity back, but imply it, really put it into what's a blade wedge.
Yeah, exactly. So with all this weight we've freed up, we've not only been able to get the CG exactly where we want it, but then we've been able to increase the MOI as well, specifically high-low MOI. With wedges, golfers do miss heel and toe, but a lot of times, whether you're in deep rough or off a thin lie, you miss up and down the face a little bit too. And those thin shots come out a little bit lower with less spin, high on the face come out a little higher with more spin, or they come up short. So what zip core is, not only is the CG right laterally, but the MOI, it's way more stable up and down the face. So if you hit it a groove or two low or groove or too high, it'll still come out with the same trajectory, same ball flight, and go the same distance that you're looking for.
And again, we talk about the technology advancements you've made, not just with that top line wedge, the CBX line of cavity back wedges, the Smart Sole wedges. No matter what type of player you are, Cleveland is building a wedge that's going to help you play better around the greens.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I like to use the example, my dad has a different short game than I have, and I have a different short game than you or Graham Dowell or any of those guys. All of our short games are unique, what types of shots we're trying to hit, our abilities, where on the face we hit it. So making just one wedge for all golfers and saying it's great doesn't really perform best for all of them. So we have a few different families of wedges, like you mentioned, the Smart Sole, the CBX, and then this RTX series, really to dial in the shape, the weighting, the shaft choices, the sole widths and grinds, really to optimize them for the different types of golfers there are out there. So everyone can have a wedge designed for their game.
Well, when you talk about the flexibility in the line, I get a lot of interest, and I've had it for years, over the Launcher HB turbo irons, or that style of irons, because Cleveland has been known for building a hybrid construction set for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Similar to the wedges, we don't all play out on tour and have tour swings. And irons specifically are probably the hardest club to hit. You're 160, 170 yards from the green. Maybe there's a bunker or lake in front of it and trouble surrounding it. You want confidence going in there. So our Launcher HV Turbo irons really are just made to be forgiving, easy to hit, and it's like a hybrid technology in every one of your irons. And so those have been really popular and really game changing for golfers who want more confidence with their irons or are looking for something that's a little easier to hit.
When we talk about Srixon, we've found that there is really a solid foundation of clubs, and they've had a lot of success on tour, maybe more than people realize, even though they see these players winning with them all the time.
Yeah. Srixon is definitely geared a little bit more towards the better player, the serious golfer in woods and irons. And so, it's tour authentic equipment. We get a lot of Srixon products in play, from our staffers, but even golfers who aren't on our staff, a lot of those put our irons and utility irons in play. So we've had success on tour, and I think that's also translating to golfers. We're growing in our woods and irons sales, and the performance is definitely there.
Well, and it's no secret that it's Cleveland Srixon. I mean, it's in the name that you're partners. I'm curious what the relationship is in terms of how they operate, because there's certainly shared technology between Cleveland and Srixon, things like a V-shaped sole. But at the same time, they have their own directions. I mean, do they operate independently, or is there some interaction between the two brands?
Yeah, there's definitely interaction between the brands. Our company as a whole has some advantages just in terms of our resources. So both brands are under the family of Sumitomo Rubber Industries, which is a very big company who does a number of things, making tires, but then sports equipment is one of those. And so we actually have two kind of global headquarters for golf, one in Kobe, Japan, and then one here in Huntington Beach, California. So we have two different R&D departments, three different test facilities. So we have a lot of resources. And then we can also, for some of the technology, and especially with golf ball technology, we can lean on our parent company who's experts in rubber for our golf balls. So we're part of a really big company with a lot of global resources for golf equipment, testing, and engineering. So we're really performance and engineering driven, both in Japan and here in Huntington Beach. And kind of there's some really good synergies there that help develop both the Cleveland and Srixon products.
Well, but it's funny you talk about the big company, because one of the things that I think sets Cleveland Srixon apart is the fact that it doesn't feel like a big company. In fact, it feels very close-knit in terms of how everyone operates there, and you put out a great professional product, but there's a different feel. It's more like a family there.
Yeah, it very much is. I've been here for 13 years and it's a close-knit group who are really passionate about what we do and care a lot about it. And I'd call it a family for sure.
Now, one thing that's consistent between Srixon and Cleveland, both brands are built for performance for a wide variety of players, from beginner to pro. But then you've got XXIO, which uses premium materials and design to help players get the performance that they may have lost over time as their swing speed has decreased.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, there's a little noise in the background. I think that'll go away pretty soon. But XXIO is a really fun brand to talk about because, one, it's not as known. So it's unique and people like learning about XXIO. But also it's so different from pretty much every other golf brand. So XXIO has a very singular focus, and it's been like that for the last 20 years of making better golf clubs for moderate swing speed golfers. So there's no real tour focus. We're not making clubs for high swing speed golfers. For 20 years, we've been designing and optimizing and perfecting these clubs for moderate swing speed golfers. And as a result of getting incrementally better generation after generation, lighter weight, higher balance point, easier to swing for 20 straight years without really worrying about anything else, the XXIO designs are remarkably different from what you'll get from any other manufacturer. So it's really fun. We'll go to demo days, and golfers who maybe haven't even heard of the brand, or maybe they have, they'll demo it, they'll experience XXIO. And everyone, when they pick it up and swing it for the first time, they say, wow, this feels different. This is lighter. This is easier to swing. And we get them on a launch monitor, and then the rest is history. XXIO has really been growing really quickly in the United States. It's been a global leader in other international markets. It's newer in the North America, but growing really well. And I think trial's really the key there. Getting golfers to experience XXIO, they feel it and they're like, yes, I need this. And I don't just need a driver. Now I need a fairway wood hybrid set of irons because it feels so different. It goes so different for these moderate swing speed golfers, and just really can help change their game.
And as an engineer, I think you have to appreciate the fact that unlike other lines where they're just introducing a women's version of a club or a senior version of a club, which is just dialed down, this is designed from the ground up to be for that type of golfer.
Yeah, exactly. Everything, the whole XXIO exists for these moderate swing speed golfers, and there's no brand in golf that's put so much focus and effort and emphasis on those golfers. And like I said, after 20 years of doing that, the results are pretty clear once you pick up a XXIO club and swing it.
Now, as a marketing director, you work really in line with the engineers and developers so that you can properly tell the stories of what's inside these clubs. How far along in the process do you get involved so that you can start preparing for what's going to be this year's launch or next year's launch or 2 years from now launch?
Yeah, so like on the marketing team, there's very much communication with our R&D team, basically from the get-go. You know, some of our marketing team is always doing market research. You know, what are golfers looking for? What improvements can we make in their games? Where kind of their pain points in their games? What do they struggle with? At the same time, R&D is developing these new technologies like ZipCore and things like that can help golfers, and kind of marrying those, what golfers need with these cool new technologies really helps drive a good quality product. So I'd say from the beginning, we're involved, then we kind of let R&D, once the product kind of design and vision is set, R&D goes and creates this great product, and then we come back and collaborate on, okay, let's tell this story, tell these technologies to golfers in the easiest, most understandable way.
And does it help them? Does it help you, the fact that you have an engineering background, so you can maybe understand some of the technical aspects?
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps for sure, both from an understanding and just messaging standpoint. Sometimes it gets overly technical when talking with the engineering team, and we kind of have to dial it back a little bit. But it definitely helps. And I've been through designing clubs, so from the get-go, we know kind of everything that goes into it. You don't just make one prototype and it's going to be perfect and fast and easy, and then you have this great club. It takes a lot of work, testing, simulation, iterating. So kind of just understanding all that work that takes to create a high quality product is helpful as well.
Well, and we talked about the advancements there are in technology in clubs. We talked about the advancements in designing clubs. Well, there's also advancements in marketing. I got to imagine that marketing here in 2020, or obviously 2020 is an unusual year, but here in the current age is very unusual. If you would have looked at it 10 years ago, it's a different animal.
Yeah, yep. It's changing every day, and we're trying to stay on top of it and just make sure, we know our products are high quality. So really our goal is just to inform golfers about the products, inform them about our Zip Core Wedge and what's new about it, and kind of generate interest so they go in and test them and see for themselves. So that's really our goal. And we're trying to spread the word of our products and really get people to try them, because we're very confident that when golfers do try our products, they're high quality, they perform well, they look and feel good. So we have a good chance.
Well, and as social media continues to evolve, it's probably year to year that it's like, okay, here's a new avenue, a new platform that we're going to use to get the word out.
Yeah, exactly. That's changing pretty quickly as well. But fun to stay on top of it and see these new things and try to communicate with people where they want to be communicated with.
Well, I like to finish our conversations here on the range by taking you back into your career, into your portfolio, if you will. Is there a product or innovation, maybe a launch, that gives you a real sentimental feeling or a special memory of you thinking back of your time with Cleveland, that it's like, oh, I remember when this one came out, it was so exciting, or anything like that?
Ooh, I mean, there are a lot of them. I worked quite a bit on the CG15 wedge, which was one of the first ones we put laser milling on the face. And so worked pretty hard on like dialing these lasers to really roughen up the surface and generate more spin. And I remember taking a prototype out to the course once and hitting a couple wedge shots that spun so much. Like I hadn't seen that ever. And I was like, oh, I think we're on to something. And then that was a really successful product as well. So I think that was a good one, CG15s. But then really I'm excited about this Zip Core Wedge. I think this one's going to be really big. It's a cool technology. On the inside, we've really advanced this wedge more than probably any other wedge in the past. But on the outside, it still has this really nice, clean, sleek look, very, very friendly to look down at, great sole grind. So I think this Zip Core one, if we do an interview next year in a couple of years, might be talking about that.
Well, and it definitely has a beautiful compact head. I've got some that I'm going to be testing out, and it's when you have that kind of look, but that much technology packed inside, that's always an exciting package for sure.
Yeah, great.
Well, Brian, thank you for taking the time to join us. It's always fun talking with you. We've talked a lot over the years about a lot of different products, but getting this insight into Cleveland, Srixon, and XXIO is really interesting because I know a lot of people have interest in the brands.
Yeah, thank you, Ralph, and yeah, thanks all your listeners for supporting us. We really appreciate it, especially in these difficult times. But it's all of our loyal customers have been great, and we really appreciate that. And friends like you, Ralph. So appreciate you having us on.
I hope you enjoyed that look into Cleveland, Srixon, and XXIO with Brian Schelke. For more interviews like that, subscribe to The Range on iTunes or follow us on Spotify. In fact, you can find the show wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to the Golf Spotlight here by clicking the link below, right there, and turning on your notifications. Stay up to date by following us on Twitter and Instagram, and drop me a line anytime with any equipment questions. Thank you for joining us here on the Golf Spotlight as we continue to give you the information that you need for your next golf purchase.